As came to the Senate to seek support for these county headquarters to be completed. It is important also to note that the Senate played a critical role and ensured that at least these funds have been released under conditional grants. So this is one of the successes that we should be talking about, because a lot of people out there sometimes do not recognize the work that the senators do. But it is imperative to know that the Committee of Finance, led by the able chair, Captain Ali Roba, was able to bring all these players together, brought in Treasury, brought in the intergovernmental agencies, brought in the Council of Governors, and ensured that the money which was supposed to have been released to county governments by Treasury has been released, and these projects do not continue stalling. One of my biggest pet peeves, Madam Speaker, is that every time we pass budgets, we allocate funds, those funds are never released. So by the time a project is being done, the cost of doing that project has already changed. You know, something that you had budgeted to build with about 1.8 billion shillings end up costing about 3 billion shillings. Just because of dilly-dallying. So it is imperative to note the success of the Senate in ensuring that there is an alternative arrangement to be able to complete these projects. I hope that we can be able to do this, to let this cut across all projects which are either co-funded by the county governments and the national governments. I'm sure if you traverse this country of Kenya, I'll bet the challenges that we're dealing with at the moment, which are normal, in any democracy, it is not strange for people to have divergence of opinions. You will find projects, particularly being done by this current administration. You will find industrial parks that they say they're setting up. You'll find stimulus program markets. And those projects, you'll either find that they are co-sponsored by the county government and the national government. But although those projects will always end up stalling, one of my biggest concerns is that a project is designed, the cost is calculated, we agree that the national government is going to give about 1.2 billion, but they don't give that money. The county governments proceed and they budget for that money. But if the certificates are issued and the contractors are paid, they will only complete the project to the level of payment. So I think it is important that in future, what this committee did can be done on all projects which are co-funded by both the national government and the county government. When I go to Narok, there is a market called Tulele Market, which is, over the last 3 or 4 months, I've noted that there is a big fence that has been put by the national government. It's actually with clear ownership or seeking credit and say it's a stimulus project by the national government. But it is stalled. They went there, they put the fence, and that's about it. When you go to Narok as well, you will find an industrial park, which the national government came and said, we want to put up an industrial park. They built a fence up to this level. 3 or 4 courses abandoned and taken off. When are we going to have that discipline to say that we are starting a project and completing that project? We don't want to waste time whereby the county governments now come together and they say, Senate, help us. Can we please finish this? And then we devise a system to be able to put it in conditional grants. So I think it is imperative to note the success of this project and then learn something from it and ensure that we apply to other projects which have continued stalling. We have a project in Kakamega County where the county government were building a hospital. They started by building that hospital, you know, saying we want to build a big level 5 hospital. And now it's just a huge white elephant project that can never be completed. And now it gets to a point where they say, we want to hand this over to the national government, for the national government to be able to do it. Why? Honestly, why should we be doing that? Where is this money that is kept aside somewhere by the national government to be able to handle all the failed projects? You know, why don't we not prioritize? Currently, we are talking about bringing discipline into this country, fiscal discipline. We're trying to make sure that we better services for Kenyans. The fight out there, Governor, Senator Mandago, it is not that the Gen Z wants to be president, or they want to be senators, or they want to be cabinet secretaries. What they're saying is that we want services, you know, provided to us. We want roads built for us. There's no point of us saying that we have billions and billions of shillings, yet we cannot finish even a single project. You know, I think this is a wake-up call. And although we are commending on a project that has already taken off, you know, the train has already left the station, and all these people have already agreed. My hope is that if at all in any of those 5 counties, those headquarters are not completed, at least when we come and discuss this here in the Senate, under conditional grants, we can then be able to allocate more funds, because what the county governments have done and what the Senate Committee on Finance has done is something that really should be commended. And I commend the chair for having taken the initiative. And then I think next time, because I do sit with the chair, I believe, and also with the vice chair at the House Business, we can try and speed up this report so that we don't come and talk about projects that have already been completed. Now, finally, as I wrap up, now that we seem to be trying to make sense and to have things work in this country, because, you know, this country is greater than all of us. You know, we are all like a passing cloud. All of us will just come, go, die, and we're forgotten. I think it's about time that we rethink about everything, all the policies, how we do things, and we have sort of like the future at a glance. In everything we do, we ask ourselves, do we want to leave this country a better place than we found it, or do we just want to line our pockets, you know, and only worry about ourselves? It's imperative that we think about the SDGs, particularly SDG number 16, which talks about accountability, and it is very current, Madam Speaker. All these things that are happening today, people are concerned about equality, they are concerned about accessibility of services, they are concerned about good laws. When we draft these laws, let us draft laws that will be able to assist this country, be able to stand strong. We have a big challenge. But at the moment, I want to call upon every Kenyan to really think of solutions, but not always just think of, you know, lamenting. It is good to lament, but if you lament and you give a solution, it will eventually end up helping us. As we grapple with the new Kenya, I hope that all of us can be able to give reason a chance, that we can be able to not only talk about the top, but also go down and deal with the issues of counties. There's a lot of misappropriation of funds in counties. You know, a lot of misappropriations of funds in counties. It is about time, Madam Speaker, that we realign our own existing resources. We build our own economies. You know, we have got perfect examples. Look at a country like Burkina Faso, Madam Speaker. Burkina Faso, currently, the major industry that you have in Burkina Faso is simply peanuts productions, njugu karanga. And the current leadership of that country is really changing things. You know, these appellants sometimes does not really help build an economy. So since we have been given an opportunity to serve, at the time when we are serving this country, let us remember that it will be, Kenya will always stand. Kenya will always be there. So whatever we do it to better the services. I hope that the Chair of Finance can now look at all these other projects, the industrial parks, which are co-shared by the national government and the county governments. In Narok, we had one where KCC was given land to be able to build a plant. Apart from the time when they came there to do the handover, nothing has ever been done. We are now going into another financial year. I think it's also imperative, Madam Speaker, that the Chair of Finance looks at budgets of each and every county government to see whether those budgets are carried forward, you know, or at least those projects are completed. Madam Speaker, in conclusion, we had a motion that we passed in this House. And even though we don't have an implementation committee, I hope that we can, as senators elected, can be able now to go through and see if the control of budget, if Treasury, and if the county government received the motion, the resolution of this House, and implemented in terms of pending bills. Payment of pending bills, Madam Speaker, if the Chair of Finance can be able to take over, because even though it was a motion brought by a private member, it was resolved by the entire Senate. To be able to go through and say, this was a resolution of the Senate, we want to know whether you've been able to pay all the pending bills that are supposed to be paid. Because if pending bills are paid, then we will not find a situation where Treasury will not release the money to complete the projects. Otherwise, Madam Speaker, I thank you and I support.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Tabitha Mutinda. I believe this motion was moved by the Chair. You're the one who moved. Who moved it? Because Senator Tabitha, can you confirm whether you had moved this motion? It was Senator Tabitha who had moved on behalf of the Chair, so I'll have Senator Peris Tobiko to proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I thank you for this opportunity to contribute to this debate. Madam Speaker, let me support the report by the Finance Committee on the status of implementation of projects that have been funded by the conditional grant for the construction of county headquarters. Madam Speaker, we had a chance to visit, but before I say that, let me say, Madam Speaker, basically what this report is telling us is that money was allocated close to 2 billion. I was looking at it, over the years, close to 2 billion on these projects or these county headquarters of around 5 counties, Madam Speaker. And we have nothing to show for it because they've not been completed. It's a very sad state of affairs, Madam Speaker. That is the county of Lamu, Nyandarua, Isiolo, Tana River, and Tharaka Nithi. Madam Speaker, at this moment in our country, when you tell Kenyans close to 2 billion was used to construct some white elephants that have not been put into use, then even the anger and the outrage is just fueled, Madam Speaker, which is a very sad situation, Madam Speaker. And it gets justified. You now get justification for the anger that is out there, for public resources that we cannot show what good use they were put in, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I began by saying we had a chance as the devolution committee to visit Tharaka Nithi. And Madam Speaker, it's a sorry state of affairs in Tharaka Nithi. The county headquarters have not even started, apart from digging off the foundation. The county assembly headquarters, the building for the county government is also not completed, Madam Speaker. And so the county assembly, Madam Speaker, in some mabati structure, and what they use as a lounge is they do operate under trees. It's a very sad affair, Madam Speaker, very shameful and unfortunate, Madam Speaker.